Hey guys, Dakota here with Broad Street CrossFit. I'm making this video of a 4-step muscle up progression. Generally the problem with people achieving a muscle up is they either have the strength and then they lack the technique required to get the muscle up, or they have the technique and they lack the strength required to get the muscle up. Sometimes we lack the strength and the technique. This is for the technique portion. If you're somebody with a good amount of strict pull-ups, deep chest to bar strict pull-ups would be even better. Ring dips, there's a good chance you already have the required strength to do a muscle up and you have to learn the technique. If you learn this technique here and you practice it, it's not going to be a big deal. If you don't have the strength, then you also do some progressions on your own time for building up strict pull-up or upper body pulling ability, as well as upper body pushing with your ring dip. So we have 4 parts to this muscle up progression. The first part is going to teach being in a good position when I'm going to pull myself on top of the rings. So what I did is banded one ring. I'm going to create a seat for myself, roll the other band over it, and still I'm just going to hook this right underneath my hand and try to get a good false grip or a knuckle on ring grip. So we know the false grip kind of rests on the wrist here. Knuckle on rings means that we just try to reach a little bit more and get that ring on the knuckle, because a lot of times when we kip, we are forced to lose that false grip position. So it's kind of a consolation prize grip. So I'm going to sit down into my band, try to come to full arm extension, and then I'm going to also point the toes. What you notice is I'm squeezing my butt so my hips are completely locked out. I'm going to allow my hips to actually bend, and then I'm going to squeeze them and try to pull the rings to my stomach. Okay, so I'm in this resting position, squeeze and pull. Squeeze and pull. All right. You can adjust band tension to try to make that easier or harder, and also as a training, for training purposes, you might want to adjust the band tension. Maybe like I would go with something a little bit heavier in order to do a lot of reps, because volume is probably key for learning technique. Wouldn't be a bad idea to come in, because this is step 1. Come in, figure it out, get a band that you can do 10 reps with, say, and then go ahead and do like 4 or 5 sets of 10 with a minute rest, 30 seconds to a minute rest, 90-second rest, and just accumulate a ton of volume, because it's not going to destroy you for any other training later that day. It's a pretty good piece to throw in as a warm-up. All right. Here's step 2. So step 2 is working now on the action that we were just practicing there. We're just getting the hip to kind of open up. But we know we can't just bring the rings to the hip. We actually have to crunch and bring our body on top of the rings. So I like to do this little, this movement here. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to start standing up, going to come down, roll, point the toes, plant, and up. All right. And the main thing is that planting action, where I plant my feet to the ground, then I bring my upper body in and kind of crunch with speed and momentum. Take a look at it again. You can even use my hands, kind of pretend like they're rings. Lost my hat there. That's how much power I have in these hips. All right, that's step 2. Here's step 3. We work on that. We've got it pretty much down. My timing is actually a little bit off there, so I probably want to do a few more reps. Maybe this doesn't necessarily, step 3 doesn't necessarily have to be reached in one day. It can be built up to. But say you spend some time and you do well on step 1 and step 2, you feel like the timing's there, but things are very smooth, then you've mastered the technique at that level, then you can come up to step 3. Same kind of setup as step 1. You're going to sit in this thing, lock out, allow your hips to bend, and then squeeze and pull. All right? Here, allow the hips to bend, squeeze and pull. Allow the hips to bend, squeeze and pull. All right? What that's going to do is teach that the butt has to be squeezed in order to get the bulk of my upper body up over the rings. Generally, most muscle-up failures come from people not pulling deep enough to the hips, as well as not squeezing their butt and allowing them to do that. If you leave your butt down, you'll notice you get this like short pull. Looks like this whenever we see people do it on the real rings. We're here, we leave the butt down, we get stuck there. Butt's down, stuck, can't get the turnover. We need to get the butt up so that we can get the rings lower and get our upper body on top of the rings. All right, that's the third step. Fourth step in the progression would be this one. We're gonna get our grip. I can pull the band off for this. Get a decent knuckle on ring grip. Feet are gonna go in front of the rings. Putting the weight on the heels. Locking those legs out. Letting the butt sit down. Pull up and through. All right, here, pull up and through. Here, pull up and through. When I get into my muscle up position, when I catch in the dip, I want the rings to be tight to my side, right underneath my armpit. I would say like it's stomach height, right below the chest. We're not worrying about the ring dip here. Once you're in that ring dip, if you have good ability to dip, which you could practice on your own with other progressions, you'll get your muscle up. But that's really all upper body pulling, which is cool because it makes sure that you have to use some technique while you have some tension on your arms for the pulling. So here. Really work on squeezing your butt as you pull through. Do a ton of reps of those. That's hard. I have a pretty good set of muscle ups, max set of muscle ups, but even this progression is challenging for me in like reps of 3s and 4s. So if I really wanted to get better at muscle ups, it's a good idea to accrue a ton of volume on step 4. Right? It's only going to make you stronger, make your turnover smoother, make you have more power through the pull, which if somebody even has muscle ups is going to improve the amount of muscle ups they can do. All right, guys, I hope that helps. Let me know if you have any questions. One of those things is like once you get this thing down pat and you start to transfer to the regular rings, there's a bunch of little things that you can do to try to kind of make it a little more comfortable for yourself. But the main thing is going to be make an attempt, maybe film it or have a friend watch, and come up with 1 or 2 things that you're going to do, mainly one thing that you're going to think of to try to improve on your next one in order to get that muscle up. A lot of times when the pressure's on, we just tend to kind of practice and drill our technique here and get hanging from those regular rings and just kind of throw caution to the wind and try to fly up in there. It's one of those things you have to consciously engage in and make sure that your technique is on point or it ain't gonna happen. But hopefully this helps you guys. Let me know if you have any questions, and good luck training.